The C-SPAN networks bring you long-form public affairs programming from the nation's capital and are a public service of your television provider. C-SPAN, created by cable.
And if you would please rise, I'll begin by swearing you in. Sorry. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. I'll now begin by introducing our first distinguished witness today, Director James Comey of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Director Comey began his career as an assistant United States attorney for both the Southern District of New York and the Eastern District of Virginia. After the 9/11 terrorist attacks, Director Comey returned to New York to become the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. In 2003, he was appointed Deputy Attorney General under the United States Attorney General John Ashcroft. Director Comey is a graduate of the College of William and Mary and the University of Chicago Law School. Director, welcome. Your entire written statement will be made a part of the record, and I ask that you summarize your testimony in 5 minutes, and we have the timing light that you're well familiar with on the table. Again, welcome. We're pleased that you are here, and you may begin your testimony.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Conyers, thank you for hosting this conversation and for helping us all talk about an issue that I believe is the hardest issue I've confronted in government, which is how to balance the privacy we so treasure that comes to us through the technology that we love, and also achieve public safety, which we also all very much treasure. I worry a little bit that we've been talking past each other, both folks in the government and folks in the private sector, when it comes to this question of encryption, which we in the government call going dark. What I'd like to do is just take 3 or 4 minutes and try to frame how I think about it, in a way I hope is fair-minded, and if it's not, I hope you'll poke at me and tell me where you think it's not. But these are the things I believe to be true. First, that the logic of encryption will bring us, in the not-too-distant future, to a place where all of our conversations and all of our papers and effects are entirely private. That is, where no one can listen to our conversations, read our text, read our emails, unless we say so. And no one can look at our stuff, read our documents, read things we file away without our agreement. That's the first thing I believe, that the logic of encryption is taking us there. The second thing I believe is, as both you and Mr. Conyers said, there's a lot of good about this, a lot of benefits to this. All of us will be able to keep private and keep protected from thieves of all kinds the things that matter most to us, our ideas, our innovation, our secret thoughts, our hopes, our dreams. There is a lot to love about this. We will all be able to have storage spaces in our life that nobody else can get into. The third thing I believe is that there are many costs to this. For the last 2 centuries, public safety in this country has depended in large measure on the ability of law enforcement agents going to courts and obtaining warrants to look in storage areas or apartments or to listen with appropriate predication and oversight to conversations. That is the way in which law enforcement brings us public safety. It is very, very important, and it's been part of the balance in ordered liberty. Right? That sometimes the people's stuff can be looked at, but only with predication and only with oversight and approval by an independent judiciary. The fourth thing I believe is that these 2 things are in tension in many contexts, increasingly in our national security work and in law enforcement work generally across the country. We see it obviously in ISIL's efforts to reach into this country and using mobile messaging apps that are end-to-end encrypted, task people to kill innocent people in the United States. That is a huge feature of our national security work and a major impediment to our counterterrorism work, because even with a court order, what we get is unreadable. To use the technical term, it's gobbledygook. Right? We cannot decrypt that which is covered by strong encryption. We also see it in criminal work across the country. See very tragically last year in Baton Rouge, where a pregnant woman, 8 months pregnant, was killed by somebody she opened the door to, and her mom says she kept a diary, but it's on her phone, which is locked. And so the case remains unsolved. And most recently and most prominently, as both Mr. Conyers and Chairman mentioned, we see it in San Bernardino, a case where 2 terrorists in the name of ISIL killed 14 people and wounded 22 others at an office gathering and left behind 3 phones, 2 of which, the cheaper models, they smashed beyond use, and the third was left locked. In any investigation that's done competently, the FBI would try to get access to that phone. It's important that it's a live, ongoing terrorism investigation, but in any criminal investigation, a competent investigator would try and use all lawful tools to get access to that device. And that's what you see happening in San Bernardino. The San Bernardino case is about that case. It obviously highlights the broader issue, and of course it'll be looked upon by other judges and other litigants, but it is about the case and trying to do a competent job of understanding, is there somebody else? And are there clues to what else might have gone on here? That is our job. The fifth thing I believe is that democracies resolve these kind of really hard questions through robust debate. I think the FBI's job is very, very limited. We have two jobs. The first is to investigate cases like San Bernardino and to use tools that are lawful and appropriate. The second thing, it's our job to tell the American people the tools you are counting on us to use to keep you safe are becoming less and less effective. It is not our job to tell the American people how to resolve that problem. The FBI is not some alien force imposed upon America from Mars. We are owned by the American people. We only use the tools that are given to us under the law. And so our job is simply to tell people there is a problem. Everybody should care about it. Everybody should want to understand if there are warrant-proof spaces in American life, what does that mean? And what are the costs of that, and how do we think about that? I don't know what the answer is. It may be the American people through Congress and the courts decide it's too hard to solve, or law enforcement can do its job well enough with strong encryption covering our communications and our papers and effects, or that it's something that we have to find a way to fix to achieve a better balance. I don't know. My job is to try to offer thoughtful explanations about the tools the FBI has and to bring them to the attention of the American people and then answer questions about that. So I'm very, very grateful for this forum, very, very grateful for this conversation. There are no demons in this debate. The companies are not evil, the government's not evil. You have a whole lot of good people who see the world through different lenses, who care about things, all care about the same things in my view. The companies care about public safety. The FBI cares about innovation and privacy. We devote our lives to trying to stop people from stealing our innovation, our secrets, and hacking into our devices. We care about the same things, which should make this, in a way, an easier conversation, which I very much look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my pleasure to appear before you in the committee today on behalf of Apple. We appreciate your invitation and the opportunity to be part of the discussion on this important issue, which centers on the civil liberties that are at the foundation of our country. I want to repeat something that we've said since the beginning, that the victims and the families of the San Bernardino attacks have our deepest sympathies. We strongly agree that justice should be served, and Apple has no sympathy for terrorists. We have the utmost respect for law enforcement and share their goal of creating a safer world. We have a team of dedicated professionals that are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, to assist law enforcement. When the FBI came to us in the immediate aftermath of the San Bernardino attacks, we gave them all the information we had related to their investigation. And we went beyond that by making Apple engineers available to advise the FBI on a number of investigative alternatives. But now we find ourselves at the center of a very extraordinary circumstance. The FBI has asked a court to order us to give them something that we don't have, to create an operating system that does not exist. The reason it doesn't exist is because it would be too dangerous. They are asking for a backdoor into the iPhone, specifically to build a software tool that can break the encryption system which protects personal information on every iPhone. As we have told them, and as we've told the American public, building that software tool would not affect just one iPhone. It would weaken the security for all of them. In fact, just last week, Director Comey agreed, and I think we heard the same here today, that the FBI would likely use this as precedent for other cases involving other phones. We've heard from District Attorney Vance, who's also said that he absolutely plans to use this tool on over 175 phones that he has in his possession. We can all agree this is not about access to one iPhone. The FBI is asking Apple to weaken the security of our products. Hackers and cyber criminals could use this to wreak havoc on our privacy and personal safety. It would set a dangerous precedent for government intrusion into the privacy and safety of its citizens. Hundreds of millions of law-abiding citizens trust Apple's products with the most intimate details of their daily lives. photos, private conversations, health data, financial accounts, and information about a user's location and the location of that user's family and friends. Some of you may have an iPhone in your pocket right now, and if you think about it, there's probably more information stored on that device than a thief could steal by breaking into your house. The only way we know to protect that data is through strong encryption. Every day, over 1 trillion transactions occur safely over the internet as the result of encrypted communications. These range from online banking and credit card transactions to the exchange of healthcare records, ideas that will change the world for the better, and communications between loved ones. The U.S. government has spent tens of millions of dollars through the Open Technology Fund and other U.S. government programs to fund strong encryption. The Review Group on Intelligence and Communications Technology, convened by President Obama, urged the U.S. government to fully support and not in any way subvert, weaken, or make vulnerable generally available commercial software. Encryption is a good thing. We need it to keep people safe. We have been using it in our products for over a decade. As attacks on our customers' data become more sophisticated, the tools we need to use to defend against them need to get stronger too. Weakening encryption will only hurt consumers and well-meaning users who rely on companies like Apple to protect their personal information. Today's hearing is entitled Balancing America's Security and Privacy. We believe we can and we must have both. Protecting our data with encryption and other methods preserves our privacy and keeps people safe. The American people deserve an honest conversation around the important questions stemming from the FBI's current demand. Do we want to put a limit on the technology that protects our data and therefore our privacy and safety in the face of increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks? Should the FBI be allowed to stop Apple or any company from offering the American people the safest and most secure products it can make? Should the FBI have the right to compel a company to produce a product it doesn't already make to the FBI's exact specifications and for the FBI's use? We believe that each of these questions deserves a healthy discussion, and any decision should only be made after a thoughtful and honest consideration of the facts. Most importantly, the decision should be made by you and your colleagues as representatives of the people, rather than through a warrant request based on a 220-year-old statute. As Judge Ornstein concluded yesterday, granting the FBI's request would thoroughly undermine fundamental principles of the Constitution. At Apple, we are ready to have this conversation. The feedback and support we're hearing indicate to us that the American people too. We feel strongly that our customers, their families, their friends, and their neighbors will be better protected from thieves and terrorists if we can offer the best protections for their data. At the same time, the freedoms and liberties we all cherish will be more secure. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sewell. Ms.